I'm trying to figure out how to order this in my head because I'm not even sure how I feel about it at this point, but I just want to kind of talk about it. So I want to kind of give a timeline. And I'm hoping Sundrop Center in chat is going to be able to help me if I get something wrong. Because they are involved in this, though they've been absolutely wonderful about it. So, this is not an indictment of them in any way, but this is just sort of a thing of we need to talk about this because it's really weird. So, as many of you remember, I posted the following video on April 2nd. That was from the previous weekend, in which let's see, so April 2nd, so that would have been from the stream on the 28th of March. So the story with this video is that I had had an interaction with Lily Orchard after she made sort of a snarky comment about the Lindsey Ellis cancellation. Thank you. Thank you, Trojan Slayer. And so I made this video because I wanted to say that I was really uncomfortable with the way that Lily behaves. There's ways in which I find her anger to either be just inherently cruel or performative. And I wanted to reach out. In that video, I specifically mentioned my credentialing because one of the things... Oh, thank you so much, Tova. You're the fucking best. Hell yeah, poggers. In that video, I had argued that Lily has a tendency to sort of act in a very aggressive manner towards people. Specifically, she'll make really odd videos or really strange engagements with and about people who she just sort of arbitrarily dislikes. In a lot of ways, Lily Orchard is what I would, by definition, call a woke scold. She is very old school as far as her ways of thinking. She is very aggressive. She is very, I would say she's got some good critique under her, and I think some of her views are actually pretty solid. The problem is that Lily has even stated things on her Tumblr, specifically relating to thinking that physical harm should come to, Natalie Wynn. Not to mention the fact that in her response to me about Lindsey Ellis, as I showed in the video, she sort of did a form of minimization. She said, well, the thing I'm saying ain't gonna hurt her any. And I'm like, yeah, but it's one snowflake that's part of the avalanche. When everyone on Twitter is gang-piling a woman for their bad media literacy, that's kind of fucked. And for somebody claiming to be left-leaning to jump into that and then make the claim of, oh, I'm not doing anything harmful or abusive is kind of fucking awful. Just saying. So this video came out on April 2nd. I was contacted somewhere around, I want to say shortly after this, by Sundrop Center, who wanted me to get in touch with another YouTuber. That YouTuber's name is a Levy named Bird. I think I'm saying that in the right order. I had said I'd be interested, but I was busy as shit. Work was hell. So nothing came of it. Then this video dropped. This is Essence of Thoughts video on April 10th talking about how Lily Orchard encouraged a friend to groom a minor. In it, Essence of Thought talks about how Lily had made light of sort of shipping two people, not their characters, but two people that were part of the Brony community together, and it sort of pushed for these people to be together. The person at the time, if I remember correctly, was 17 years old. The other person was in their 20s, same age as Lily. There are screenshots on this. There are Lily's justifications on this, and Lily has a tendency to browbeat her community to try to get certain results. I, being the good little therapist I am, shared that video on the Trans Girl Therapist Twitter page. Because, well, I am not always a huge fan of Essence of Thought. I find their videos kind of boring. And it feels very much like just moralizing. It's a lot of just moralizing and kind of without really a goal, in my view. That's not to say they're bad. They're just not my cup of tea. So if you want, I'd actually say watch this video. I think it's really well done. I think actually the way they collect data is really solid. So I don't want to be misunderstood that I'm in any way saying that, like, again, this isn't about essential views. This is saying it's not my cup of tea because I have ADHD and because I don't feel like going through the reading. But I think their videos do have some merit. But you'll notice on April 14th, I shared this. Right? Now, I'm not going to go to the tweets in question, but I want to kind of paint a picture. Sundrop Center reached out and tried to connect with this other YouTuber that I had mentioned earlier. This YouTuber happens to be the editor for Essence of Thought. I had not known that at the time. I had only seen their video on Lily previously on YouTube. I found it good. Yeah. I also prefer Luxander, but that's because I just love Luxander. We actually have a 4-hour conversation on video of us talking about the show BoJack Horseman. When they get their BoJack video out, that's going to be coming up as a supplement. Fucking cool video. I can't wait to actually do that because we had some really great discussions around BoJack Horseman and Borderline. Anyway, I want it to be understood that I had no understanding of this until this video came out. I had no idea that Lily had these situations against her. I know that she had acted out. I know she had directed her community at certain people before, but in no way did I know that there was any kind of encouraging of grooming a minor. Did not know that. I got contacted by Sundrop Center to let me know that there was something going on. And I went over to the YouTuber I mentioned earlier, a Levy Named Bird's Twitter, to which they had started a giant screen rant talking about how I was this awful person and how I brought up my degrees and how my degrees have nothing to do with the fact that I'm sitting here and like trying to make some sort of fallacious bullying argument about the way Lily's interacting with Lindsey Ellis's current canceling, and I'm completely ignoring her victims and all the people she's hurt, and basically just going off on a fucking rant. Now, granted, I don't know if it's still up because I muted their ass. That simple. I tried engaging with them, hoping that they would do the right thing and apologize. Because once it was made clear to them that my video came out literally 8 days before I knew any of that, and I hadn't even watched the video till probably on the 14th. I had it up on a tab. I even shared it, said, I think this video connects to Lily's aggressive behavior. Because again, predators tend to be about power. Do I think Lily's a predator? No. But do I think that she sort of is really unclear whether she pushes for that kind of stuff? Maybe. And I don't have enough data to say on my own, but I want to say that, like, the point of the video I did about Lily Orchard was not to tear her down. It is, yes, Trojan Slayer, at very worst encouraging, right? My purpose of that video was to talk about how I felt about being essentially blocked by someone I was actually a fan of at one point, and being really bothered by it, and being bothered about the fact that they acted in a really weird, kind of shitty way about something that should be a really obvious thing. And so when I saw this screen rant, I tried to kind of say very clearly, hey, I don't really think this is appropriate. I had no knowledge of this. And what a Levy called Bird did was then proceed to minimize the actual harm they did in sort of a fallacious apology, followed by still saying that I am either encouraging or platforming. I don't remember which language they used. Again, I don't want to go to the tweets because I just don't care. If you want to look on their Twitter page, be my guest. I might get some of the language wrong, and I'm totally fine with that. But my understanding of it was essentially that I was sort of platforming, encouraging, or supporting an abuser. So I'm assuming that's referring to Lily, but it could be someone else because, for God's sakes, I have no idea. And then a racist, right? Which I assume is Lindsey Ellis. So notice again, we're back to essentialized thinking. This is just essentializing 101. We're just going to come off from the perspective of these people are this. But again, Lindsey Ellis was alleged to have behaved in a racist way. I, having watched what was going on Twitter and engaged with it, did not find it to be so. And I don't like the idea that someone like myself can't speak about these things because I feel like that's very silencing to other types of people. I think there's a way in which, obviously, if someone's acting in a form of bad faith, such as conservatives around race issues, fair enough. But as Lindsey pointed out in her video, this was not like a decided thing. POC are not like a monolith. There were people who didn't give a fuck about her statement about Rhea and Avatar. There were people that really were upset about it. And the fact is, it's really weird that like Honest Trailers made the same fucking joke or same comparison and got nothing for it, but Lindsey Ellis does it and she gets fucking shit on. You want to look, again, I'll probably put it somewhere up there-ish, but there is a video where I talk about why is it the left really likes attacking women. Because I think that's what's going on here. I think there's a double standard. Honest Trailers can make that joke because it's a very simple joke about structure. But again, with Lindsey, we take it at the worst possible framing. And so by extension, due to contamination ideals, because I defended Lindsey and because I didn't call out Lily Orchard on something I didn't know, I'm now contaminated as well. I'm now supporting these abusers. I'm now supporting this racist. And I find this really fucking toxic. I think this behavior was really inappropriate. All Bird, I'm going to call him Bird. All Bird had to do was retract their criticism and apologize directly and without caveat for fucking like dragging me online because they didn't have the fucking good graces to look at the actual dates for things. What really sucked was watching Sundrop Center kind of feel shitty about this because they were really hoping that we could have a very substantial conversation about Lily Orchard and discuss this stuff. And instead, one of the two YouTube channels that they follow, mine and I assume Levy's or Bird's, one of those creators just kind of lost their fucking shit. And then when called out on it and proven absolutely wrong about their entire thesis, as far as me ignoring victims that I couldn't possibly know about, they instead doubled down on it, minimized their behavior after like 8 or 9 tweets, and then told me I was still awful and terrible and that I was ignoring the voices of marginalized people and ignoring POC, blah, 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 blah. But I wasn't. I just wasn't. Again, I'm not going to view POC as a Trojan Slayer. We see this with Vosh. Someone calls him a racist and will only accept his apology if a black person forgives him. Then one of his black fans said they do that, and then they call the fan a bootlicker. Yes, that is a fucking thing. They talked about, like, Lindsey Ellis talked about this in her video. She talked about the idea that if you agree with the mob, you're cool. If you don't agree with the mob, you're a privileged twat. This dichotomy, this utter fucking, like, very clearly polarized thinking is fucked, and I want nothing to do with it. Literally, the thing we were talking about with polarized thinking earlier is what is on display in that thread. I'm not going to it because I've muted this person. And following this, I'll probably just block them. Because to me, when a fellow member of the trans community, a trans man, might I add, decided to lash out at me with a bunch of essentialist critiques, rather than looking at all of these situations as complex and, to some degree, difficult. While the Lily Orchard stuff seems more concrete and more black and white, the Lindsey Ellis stuff certainly doesn't. And the fact of the matter is that rather than giving me the benefit of the doubt or in any way acting in good faith, this person lashed out and then justified their lashing out and then tried to gaslight me by saying, oh, well, you're still platforming or supporting or encouraging or whatever fucking language they used these people. No, I'm not, because I disagree inherently with your presupposition that Lindsey Ellis is a racist. She's done some dumb shit. She's also been online for 13 years. Go fuck yourself. And as far as like the Lily Orchard stuff, I have direct evidence on this page right here showing the fact, there we go, that I fucking agreed with you. I fucking agreed. Now Trojan Slayer, be real clear. I don't know if their language was specifically platforming. I think it was either encouraging, supporting, somewhere in that ballpark. Again, I didn't save screenshots because I was just flabbergasted by their absolute bad faith and really shitty takes. I was originally going to try do this video in a lot more of a fairness, but I just don't feel like I should at this point. Do I think they're a bad person? No. Do I think they're a person who acted inappropriately, emotionally immaturely, and lashed out in the same way I've seen abusers do so? Yes, it was abusive behavior. Stop it. This is why people call these individuals woke scolds. Because we had to create a name for people on the left who are part of marginalized groups that would then use their in-group power to attack other members of the in-group, being leftists or trans people or LGBT people or whatnot. Honestly, it's there's a reason why we have this terminology, is because there's a way in which you say, listen to POC. Okay, I did listen to POC. This doesn't seem like it's a concrete thing where everybody's on the same page. Well, then you're not listening to them. No, I did. Okay, well, then you're still platforming, supporting, / encouraging these people. No, I'm not. I agreed with you about Lily Orchard, and I flat out disagree with you on the Lindsey Ellis thing, because you actually haven't in any meaningful way argued why she could be considered a racist beyond the she's a racist, ask these people. But again, it's essentializing. At the worst case scenario, it is she said something that could be perceived as racist. That's it. But to say someone is a dyed-in-the-wool racist, to compare them to Steven fucking Crowder and his black impression that he did several weeks ago? No, we don't get to just throw out the term racist to anyone that makes you mad. We don't get to throw out the term racist because certain people got upset and we want to essentialize this person for the whole of who they are. That doesn't make any fucking sense. Look at Lindsey Ellis's work. Like, yes, the modern day minstrel show thing was fucking insane. I agree. The fact is that to throw this term out at people on our side, A, ignores rehabilitative justice. It ignores the fact that they can be taught, they can be trained, they can be worked to be better. It also ignores their fucking, like, entirety of their fucking videography. Like, I'm sorry. At this point, I start to think I need to actually, like, insulate my community from people like this, because I think they're toxic. And I don't mean Lindsey Ellis. I mean these type of shit that Levy said. Because to essentialize me to such a degree because I disagreed with him is insane. In a bit of irony, Ethel was called a TERF by Lily a few days ago. Holy shit. Really? Okay, we're just making up words now. We're just using words out of context. It's fine. Everything's fine. Just fuck me. And the reason why I want to talk to you guys about this stuff is that the purpose of this channel is mental health. And it's in my best goal is to try to be clear about where my emotional well-being is, because this channel affects me. The like ratios affect me. The way in which people argue about stuff affects me. Not the fucking Nazis, I just delete their shit. But like people from like the trans community, no, I try to take that shit at good faith. Even when I have someone screaming at me that I'm apparently being some sort of authoritarian because I say that non-binary people are a part of the trans community, despite that being the truth both academically and medically. But again, they don't care. They just want to argue. And any kind of unity is smashed to the rocks because we have to essentialize. Someone's bad, someone's good. This is how it is. And yes, Lily will make shit up about people to discredit them. That's fair. Also, some of the people that have attacked her in the past were fucking clowns, so that's probably helped her case. Josh Berner stands out as an example, who was the guy who was technically being assisted in the grooming. So take that for what you will. Allegedly. I have to make this really clear. I want to protect you guys. I want to get a Discord going. I want to have a protected space where we can work on mental health. We can heal and try to create a space of discussion. And I don't mind conflict. I like conflict. I'm actually one of the few fucking therapists I know that is okay with conflict. But what I'm not okay with is essentialist critiques that are coming out of left field because someone is mad. And when they're called out on being triggered and are and told, hey, all I need is an apology for this, not because I want something like performative. They could have done this in a DM. There's 1,000,001 ways they could have reached out and said, hey, I'm sorry for dragging you. Then they minimize how I feel, a marginalized non-binary trans woman, and then proceed to then gaslight me and say, well, actually what you're doing is this. I've never once defended Lily about these allegations. Not once. I defended Lindsey Ellis because Lindsey Ellis is somebody that I think does a demonstrable good. Lindsey's videography, for fuck's sakes, has like 3 or 4 different videos that literally talk about the concept of racism in media. It's like the one character from the Phantom of the Opera series, because I don't give a fuck about Phantom, but that was a fun video. The woke Disney brand talking about the fucking Dumbo movie. God, if I could think of another one, I would. But I know there's at least 2. I swear to God, there's a 3rd one I'm not remembering. Persuasion is the way leftists win. Persuasion is extremely difficult, not least because it requires vulnerability. Correct. Fucking right. Fucking right, Mardil. So, like, this is kind of the issue I have. I want to think about, like, a couple weeks ago. Oh, yeah, her Pocahontas Moana discussions were pretty solid. Like, that's another good one. No, Sundrop, absolutely right on. Fuck yeah, I'm glad there's someone else here who's addicted to YouTube. Fuck. Correct. Trojan Slayer. True. Fucking true. And yes, I want to come back to what Mardil said because I think that's so fucking on. Mardil gets the cookie for the day because I think that's so fucking correct. I want you to think back a couple weeks ago when the discussion of like morally lucky was getting around and the idea about this girl, non-binary person who was discussing their experience as a former Nazi, that they were literally being groomed into white supremacy. And they were luckily got out because a friend called them out on their shit. And then they were exposed to Vosh's content and were pulled out of that fucking death spiral. This girl went on Vosh. I follow her on Twitter. She's like the super fucking best. Like, I just think she's great. Do I think that her being a Nazi is good? No, of course I don't fucking think her being a Nazi is good. Do I think that she was rehabilitated and now she's like a fucking libertarian, socialist, non-binary person? That is fucking great. We want that shit. And there's people that are leftists going, no, once a Nazi, always a Nazi. We don't want you in our fucking community. That is insane because we have to take risks. We have to be vulnerable. I'm not saying unnecessary risks. I'm not saying open the fucking door to every goddamn person who's pretending to be trans. No, I mean, from a calculated perspective, open the fucking door, let in people, vet them, give them a chance. Discern the difference between off-color commentary or bad habits from their previous way of being and dyed-in-the-wool malicious behavior. Because what I take is the stuff that got posted that essentialized me as somehow supporting an abuser, a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, mind you, a person who has a family that has gone through multi-generational trauma, a person whose borderline hinges on the notion of being afraid that I'm hurting everyone around me at any given point. No, fuck that. At that point, that content creator is basically invisible to me because at that fucking point, all that becomes is you are no different than the alt-right. This isn't like a fucking horseshoe theory thing. This isn't a thing of like, wow, the left and right are both bad in extremes. No, because I don't consider them leftists. They're like reverse tankies. Instead of being authoritarians, they just attack their own. There's no real movement forward. And I know I'm going to get shit from this. There's probably going to be a fucking video on me someday by several woke scolds. And at this point, I don't fucking care. I didn't deserve to be treated that way. And it's abusive. And if anyone sees it other than that, that thinks that essentialization without looking at me or my fucking work or the people that I've helped, no, you are fucking done. I am not engaging with you because there is no good faith here. There's no willingness to ask the why. There's no willingness to engage and ask, how did you come to this conclusion? And because they were so willing to fucking they were so willing to lash out and make the most easy fucking mistake to check that I posted this video on April 14th and my fucking video came out on the 2nd. Is insane. I'm sorry. Like, I get enraged by this shit. I get so enraged by this shit because it's so frustrating. People who should do better. Yeah, try not to caps lock Ninja because the Nightbot will shut you down. It's there to protect us from bullshit. Good night, Trojan Slayer. Love yous. I think Macaroni, I think the Nightbot kind of did a thing. And because of that, it has cut out a lot of stuff. So I had to approve your thing. I am a trans woman who seeks negative feedback because I don't have anyone in person who's positive. That fucking sucks. That fucking sucks. So Sundrop Center, I want you to understand this from this perspective. I'm giving you objective truth reality. You did nothing wrong. Nothing. Unless you were like talking shit about one of us behind the other one's back, I can't think of anything you did wrong. You tried to connect content creator to content creator as a means by which to sort of have a larger conversation. And when you did that, the other person acted like an asshat and blew up about it. And when they were called out on being factually incorrect, they doubled down on it and tried to gaslight me. That's not on you. That's on the fact that they made those choices. He chose to behave that way. He chose to act out that way. And as such, I am not engaging with his commentary anymore. I'm not engaging with his critique. That is not a safe person for me or my community to ever engage with. Because all he had to do was admit that he was wrong. Be vulnerable for 5 seconds with another trans person and actually say, hey, I disagree with you about the Lindsey Ellis thing, but I'm really sorry about the fact that like I kind of went off on a fucking screed. Because when you say, yeah, I kind of like lost it and I was incorrect about this, but, right, the negation, but, then we have a fucking problem. I really, really struggle with this stuff because one of the reasons why I found my voice, one of the reasons I transitioned was because I found people on YouTube who legitimately created a sense of safety. I'm just going to say it flat out. I like ContraPoints. I think she's fucking great. Not in like in person speaking. I think she's not great at that. But as far as like her videos, I think they're very useful. And the fact that most people that are watch them are cis, good, because they're actually looking at a trans woman and going, she's not a monster. This does demonstrable good. Not to mention the people that have been pulled back from the alt-right. I like Vosh. Think he's done some dumb shit. But guess what? Sorry. I think there's very real ways that he makes trans people in his community feel safe. And if you want to yell about him being transphobic, fucking look at all the evidence and stop whining. I go into that community and I feel welcomed. I'm really clear on this. I really am not going to engage with this woke scold bullshit. I'm not going to engage with people who can't even admit when they're wrong and can't necessarily just stop themselves from going off and acting this way. Sundrop, you did jack shit wrong. The only thing I could even like send your way as a comment or criticism would be maybe rethink that person's commentary. Maybe that content creator, if they're going to act that way on Twitter, maybe it's not such a great fit. I don't know. But it's your choice. Watch who the fuck you want to watch. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to watch their stuff ever again because I don't trust them. Because being a broken clock and being right about Lily Orchard does not mean that I think you're behaving in a way that's good. Wait, YouTube person. I'm not familiar with you, YouTube person. Welcome. Let's be frank. Willful interpolarization is core to online transmisogynist abuse. Remember that woke skulled trans person who tried to call Contra a transracial autogynophile for wearing cat. Wait, I don't even know this one. Really? Wait, whoa. What? Really? Oh my god, the transmisogyny, the sexism is so real. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm gonna stop being afraid on this channel. I'm gonna stop like holding back on what my actual feelings are about like different content creators. I've tried to be a little dodgy in the past for fear of being attacked by their haters. I'm kind of done. The transmisogyny, the utter sexism that the left keeps doing and lashing out with is fucking cringe, and it hurts us. And it hurts people in very demonstrable ways. I don't know if what YouTube person said is accurate. This says the message has been retracted, but if there's evidence of that, someone fucking message me about it, or fucking send it to the Gmail. I would be really curious about that. I intuitively want to believe it, but I would need evidence. I have to hold myself to that standard as much as I want to. And again, essentialization is cringe. Even the essentialization of essentialization being cringe is cringe. So, yeah, I don't got much more on this one. I'm kind of afraid to be online. Like, I'm legitimately afraid to be online because of this kind of shit. I'm not as afraid about the alt-right. Those people can fuck off. Hey, Simbel, you're fine. I'm not saying you have to go watch other content creators. I'm just mad at the fact that every time the left gets a bug up their ass about something, it's immediately towards another woman. That shit terrifies me. And again, I have to be really clear, like, I want to build a community online that helps each other and is healthy. And I don't want this shit to be there. I just don't. I don't want it to be there for people. Thanks, Tova. You're such a sweetheart. Yeah. I guess the thought I have is this. I'm not telling you who to like or who to dislike. I'm not telling you which content creators to follow or not. I follow the people I do because after trying to dig through all the information, I've come to the conclusion that human beings are flawed, and there is a certain level of flawedness that I will experience, and certain levels of flawedness that are part of this experience. But there's a very big difference between flaws and out-and-out transphobia, racism, transmedicalism, or whatever fucking other critiques I want to throw out. We have real enemies out there. Like, we have real fucking enemies out there who are actively doing harm. Can we please focus? I'm sorry. I just can't stand it. So here's the thing. I want your guys' help. You know, we've talked about the joke, this being Hot Sauce Club. Let's make something. Let's make this actually a safe place. Like, make it something where we can have decent discourse and discussions without it being a place where we're lashing out at people or just being toxic. Because that's what that shit was. Power. Difficult to do right, but a great source of great energy when done right. Yeah. I mean, no one is gonna get this shit perfect. I'm gonna have flaws. I'm a fucking poor girl from the Midwest. I grew up with a grandmother who literally like trained her dog to bark at like African American people. Let me be very clear. Inherited racism sucks. It's something I've had to work against. I fucking hate it. But the fact is that I think all of us have that kind of shit we have to work on. And I think there's some very real ways that like the content creators we watch or engage with, yeah, they have their own flaws. They have their own mental health issues. They have their own, fuck ups. They have their own ways of misspeaking. I just don't want to engage in a way where we're just tearing people down. And I'm even hesitant to bring this to post this video because I don't want to turn on levy. I don't want anyone going to bother them. I don't want anyone to lash out or post shit on their stuff. Leave them the fuck be. I just don't want to engage with them because the way they behaved online was absolutely inappropriate. And they can say, oh, it wasn't that bad. I was just calling you out. You just don't want to deal with accountability. No, I fundamentally disagree with your argument. And the fact being is that your definition of accountability is just shaming. It's dragging me through the mud and telling me that I'm doing something at an essentialist level that I'm not. Not playing that game. That's abuser. That's abuser talk. Full stop. I've dealt with enough couples who have abuse. It's fucked up. I'm Canadian. People talk about us like mystical beasts. I have to let them down gently. I come from mayonnaise white conservative Christians, right? Like, seriously, like all of my judgments about Canada got destroyed by like a couple debates involving Canadian Nazis, which I didn't even know was a thing. I can't. There's real fucking things to deal with. Can we focus on the fact that trans kids in Arkansas can't get fucking blockers, or the fact that like people want to like the fucking GOP is trying to pass laws in Florida to molest fucking trans kids? This sucks. And I know we feel powerless to stuff. Lindsey Ellis mentioned this in her video. These people feel powerless, and so they lash out at their own to feel some sort of strength or some sort of idea that this means something, that they can do something. And sometimes it's better just to feel powerless. Find other ways to pull people down, not our own. I'm good on that. It's a tough one. So why don't I end it there instead of whining some more? If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. If you like my stuff, sweet. I'm really glad to have you here. If you don't, move on. The point here is to actually engage and have a conversation about mental health. If you're gonna woke scold me for the people I like, sorry. Unless you're talking about like Sargon of Akkad or some shit, it's not a thing. So yeah. If you want to donate, please go to streamlabs.com/transgirltherapist/tip. Any amount is helpful, and we really appreciate it. If you want to become a patron, please go to patreon.com/transgirltherapist. And see you in the next one.